Battlefield is one of the staples of gaming as a whole. Whether, people love Battlefield or hate it, it is one of those franchises, guys, that needs to exist within gaming because not only from a competitive standpoint, that being like competing against games like Apex or games like Call of Duty, it needs to exist. And I think that there is a massive fan base in Battlefield that is just wanting and yearning for more content in Battlefield. So in this last segment of the show, I want to talk about everything that we know so far about Battlefield 6. So let's talk about it. In an article, guys, that was written by Alex Avard of Games Radar, Battlefield 6 will launch on PS5 and Xbox Series X in 2021. The next Battlefield game will launch in 2021 with plans to utilize the new technology offered by next-gen platforms, the PS5 and Xbox Series X, EA has confirmed. In a statement to IGN, a spokesperson for Electronic Arts said that DICE is continuing to support its current live titles Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5. But in the longer term, the studio is focused on the future of Battlefield that will be bringing to players in 2021. EA also told GameSpot that this next entry in the first-person shooter series will be targeting new innovation that will be enabled by next-gen platforms, though it's unclear if the game will also release on PS4 and Xbox One alongside the upcoming hardware. So, one thing that I take from that statement about targeting new innovation, what that tells me, guys, is that maybe they're going into the future here with Battlefield 6, which is what I'm hoping for. Look, Battlefield 1, we had, World War 1. Then Battlefield 5, of course, you had World War 2. And I think that, it's time to go back to the future, kind of like Battlefield 3. I think it's time that we go back to a more futuristic feel to Battlefield. I think that's been something that the fan base absolutely wants at this point. I think it would do really well at this point. Now, bringing out Battlefield in 2020, where the new console base is fairly small, doesn't really give justice the potential of the title. And so that's part of our driver in moving the title into fiscal 22, the EA spokesperson said. DICE recently confirmed that Battlefield 5's next chapter will be its last, but promised to continue the support of the game with hotfixes and balanced updates thereafter. So, here's hoping Battlefield 6, or whatever it ends up being called, can represent a return to form for one of the FPS's genre's seminal talents. So look, guys, I think that when we say, that this is one of those staples in gaming, it really is, guys. It's got it's got a great fan base, and the graphics are incredible, and they always try to up the standards with these games. Now, obviously, some people have loved the past iterations of Battlefield. Some people don't like Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5 for whatever reason. There could be any number of reasons, right? Every Battlefield that comes out, every Call of Duty that comes out, they're always controversial in one way, shape, or form. But I will say this. Battlefield 6, this could be a real great move in the right direction for EA and for Battlefield as a franchise. They go back in the future a little bit. I'm not talking like Call of Duty did with jetpacks. I'm talking going back to kind of like a Battlefield 3 type of style where you have more futuristic weaponry and things of that nature. You could have something really special on your hands, because I know that's what a lot of people in the Battlefield community are hoping for. Comes out in 2021. It's not that far away, guys. They're still continuing to try to support Battlefield 5 at this point. Obviously, I think the things that we absolutely want, just off the top of my head, number one, don't ruin the game with microtransactions, which we know so many of these games nowadays are being ruined or hurt in a major way because of the microtransactions and the pay-to-win, tactics and things of that nature. So hopefully that doesn't end up being a problem. Having Battle Royale, which Battlefield Firestorm I thought was actually really cool in Battlefield 5. So having something maybe similar to that would be interesting, or maybe they continue and just kind of continue to update it with Battlefield 6. And then, of course, having a story mode. I'm going to say this, guys. I mean, look, the story modes that they've had, or these chapters that they've had, of course, in the past couple of Battlefield games, that being Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, are cool. It's cool being able to play the historical events, of course, throughout the course of the years, throughout the course of the wars, and from that standpoint. But having a single-player story, a full single-player story, I think would be really cool, because it reminds me like Black Ops 4. I loved Black Ops 4. I thought it was one of the best Call of Duty games ever made, but the one thing that it lacked was not having a single-player story. It, had like operator missions missions, basically. And that kind of is what it feels like with Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1. Kind of like these operator missions that you play instead of a full-blown story. So I'd like to see a story mode in Battlefield 6, especially if they're going a little bit into the future. Something, you know, really unique and cool would be absolutely awesome, I think, for this franchise. Having multiplayer obviously is a staple for gaming as a whole, but of course for Battlefield at large. So having that, I think, would be great. Now, having more, maybe even more variety of different game modes that they could do, less maps where you know, if you just want like very fast-paced gameplay similar to Call of Duty, you can do that. Or if you want the big, long, drawn-out fights, you can do that as well. I think having a real, you know, balance between large and small maps, because Call of Duty has even gone into larger and larger scale maps. So why can't Battlefield do something similar to that? Because they kind of start playing in Call of Duty's playground a little bit. Because Call of Duty, well, we know that that's a pretty successful franchise right there. So maybe Battlefield can take a couple things from Call of Duty, because Call of Duty's certainly taken some stuff from Battlefield. So I'd love to see that as well. Have a really great, you know, single-player story, but also having, you know, other than multiplayer, having some co-op modes that you can play with your friends would be great, even outside of multiplayer. You think of, you know, with Call of Duty, they have Spec Ops. They have other ways in which that you can connect with the franchise, or Call of Duty Zombies. You know, having things like that really bring you back to the game. And I think with Battlefield, the things that really bring you back right now, other than the single-player story, even though the past couple iterations really hasn't had a single-player story necessarily, are the multiplayer. It's pretty much all the multiplayer is what brings you back to the game, as well as the Battle Royale Firestorm. So I think, guys, having that full package is going to be incredibly important moving into Battlefield 6. I think that one thing I will say is that we probably will get a full package. I'm under the assumption that we're going to get a single player story, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, but as well as some co-op modes, and of course a full-blown multiplayer, and potentially even some more Battle Royale. So I think if you have all of those things, it justifies a $60 price tag. Even if you're more of a Call of Duty fan than a Battlefield fan, you're going to get Battlefield 6 because you know, it's going to have everything that you really want in it. And so I know for myself, I buy every Battlefield that comes out just because I love these games and I want to see them succeed. And so I'm hoping that Battlefield 6 lands on every possible place that we want it to. There's going to be things that are going to, you know, be controversial, I'm sure, like with any big AAA title. But this is basically everything that we know, guys. Here's the thing, is that we know that it's coming out in 2021, so it's not going to be that much longer until we start seeing game footage, until we start, you know, seeing the, you know, the cinematics and things of that nature, and getting a confirmed release date. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys want to see in Battlefield 6 at this point? And I will certainly keep you guys all up to speed as further information comes out. And for more Battlefield 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.